There's already been 25 different coaches hired in this year's College Basketball Coaching Carousel, and I'm here to talk about every single one of them. My name's Cody Mitchell. This is the Bet the Juice podcast. Welcome back, everybody. Love talking coaching carousel. Well, as I was, my phone's set with the webcam here. Hubert Davis will not be returning as the North Carolina head coach for next year. Shocker. That's probably, one of the best 4 or 5 jobs in the sports, blue blood program. We'll have to cover that one when that time comes, but we got 25 other jobs that have been filled. For North Carolina, I don't really know exactly where you go. To me, the big thing that a lot of schools make, and it happens in both sports and football and stuff like that too, Michigan was really bad at forever, always wanted to hire a Michigan man. It's like, dude, just hire the best guy for the job. Doesn't matter if he's one of your own. None of that matters. Hire the best guy for the job. So I hope Carolina kind of gets away from that. I thought Hubert Davis did not do a terrible job. Obviously, he made a national championship game. Not a lot of success outside of that, but it's a tough job. It's Carolina. You gotta, if you don't perform and things don't go well, it's not going to work out. But let's just jump right into it. This is the biggest, it's not a shocker. I wouldn't say it's a shocker. It might be a shocker to some people. It was just, it caught me off guard. Randy Bennett going to Tempe to coach Arizona State, a long time St. Mary's basketball coach. He was there since 2021. Guys went over 500. He's won 580 games, 589, 228. Got St. Mary's to the tournament a bunch of times, I would say. At least the last 4 years they've made it. Last 5 years, actually. Didn't make it the year after COVID, or did they? No, they would have made it the COVID year. They had a couple years of no appearances after that. But the last 4 years, man, they won regular season championships. They won a couple conference tournament championships. He is an incredible basketball coach. I don't think anybody's going to ever take that away from him. Randy Bennett has been nothing but fucking awesome. The problem is, and I think the big pushback everybody has when it comes to Randy Bennett and St. Mary's is they always get beat in the first round of the tournament. 9 times out of 10, the 10th time, they win one game, lose in the second round. They made one Sweet 16. It's just, can you adapt and find a different style of coaching and have a different philosophy? Because getting the unathletic European kids to come over and play your system, it was cute. It really worked. He was able to win games with players that took care of the ball, were super disciplined. His style of coaching was able to just will them to games because he had the coaching edge over basically everybody but Mark Few in that conference. And now Herb Sendek. That shit ain't going to fly in the Big 12, man. Everybody's good. Everybody's good. Everybody's well coached. There's a lot of athletes. There's going to be a lot of NBA talent in that conference. You just can't. That style is just not, it's not going to work. There's no way around it. It's just not going to cut it. So I think Randy Bennett will adapt. Arizona State's got money as long as they invest into the program a little bit more. I think Hurley he was there way too long. He should have been fired like 5 years ago. But I don't know. I'm really interested to see what this one is because I feel like this is one more than anything, I think Arizona State's their floor is going to go up. Like, I think you're going to be at least like the 11th, 12th team in the Big 10 or Big 12 versus being, in the basement. But I don't know how high the ceiling is for them just because I don't know how willing. Like, I know their star, some European name I can never pronounce, just entered the portal. Like, is he going to Arizona State? Because if he does, he's good in the WCC. I don't know how well he's going to work out in the Big 12 conference. That is my big issue with that. But I'm a big Randy Bennett fan. I'm rooting for them to be good. But I guess we'll see. Taking over for him is Mickey McConnell. Old St. Mary's forward, guard/forward. He's a wing there. He was a stud. He's been with Randy Bennett for a minute here. So taking over, I mean, it's worked. Shires worked. Hubert Davis didn't really, but he got him to the title game. Like, this stuff has worked with the coach and waiting stuff, and I'm sure Randy Bennett had this kind of thing in the works for a while. So not a giant shocker. Everybody kind of knew when Bennett was gone that McConnell was the coach in waiting and was going to take over. So we'll see. I think I'm going to assume he's a younger guy. He's probably going to bring a different style of coaching. It's going to look, everything you've known about St. Mary's basketball is probably going to look a little bit different. But at the same time, I don't exactly know. I don't know much about him, man. I watched him a lot as a player. He was a killer at St. Mary's. He was a star. He was a dog. But, again, you just kind of have to wait and see on that because there's just too much of what we call the unknown. And, yeah, and I'm pulling up on ESPN here. That's like the giant headline here is Hubert Davis will not return there. ESPN's a joke. They only care about basketball like half the time, so we'll see exactly what. I mean, they'll probably cover it for a couple weeks, but then after that, it's going to be basically all but nothing. I don't know. I really wish I knew or like where this Carolina thing was going to go, because just very interested to see, because it's obviously a huge job, and something like that opens, like, you got to spend time talking about it because it is going to take over a lot. So I do kind of hope Carolina does nail it, because basketball is better when Carolina is good, just like it is for a lot of other teams. Like Syracuse, I think we'll get to them. Providence, we'll get to them too. But like certain schools, the sport is better as a whole when they are good. Next up, we have Jared Calhoun to Cincinnati. Another one that I really like. He is a grad of Cincinnati. I think we all kind of saw this coming. He was a guy who coached over Bob Huggins in West Virginia for a while. He was an assistant. Spent some time at Youngstown State, which is a really tough job in the Horizon League. Won a bunch of games there. Won a regular season championship there. And then went to Utah State the last 2 years. Got him to the tournament both years. Took Arizona. Gave Arizona a little bit of a scare, which was a game where I thought Arizona was going to be about 20. It got up to 18, but the Utes came back and they fought. Calhoun's a really good coach. That's just an adding to the plethora of amazing coaches in the Big 12. Jared Calhoun's a stud, and I think he'll have Cincinnati right there to make the tournament next year. I think he's got some guys from Utah State that's going to follow him over there. Seems like the NIL situation there is improving, so awesome hire by Cincinnati. Sucks to see Wes Miller go. For me, he did find a spot. We will get to that one, but as somebody who's a big Wes Miller fan, the fit didn't work. Calhoun being the grad there, I think it'll work just fine. Next is Scott Cross, the Georgia Tech, the Troy coach, who took the Trojans to back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances. Granted, got bounced pretty easily in the first 2 rounds. He spent some time with Jamie Dixon in his career at TCU. I believe Jamie Dixon was there, but maybe not. Before that, it was at UT Arlington, where he did a pretty damn good job and got canned, and everybody was questioning, why is UT Arlington firing a coach who is winning 20-plus games his last 4 seasons there, didn't have an NCAA tournament appearance, but ever since he's left UT Arlington, the team has definitely just not been the same. So, awesome win there. Okay, I got to talk about this real quick. Tulsa covered against Wichita State. They were up 20. And that game was tied, and I had the 3.5, and they found a way to fucking cover this by 0.5 point. Wow, what a sweat on that one was. I had the game pulled up here, too, watching it. Just made the free throws at the end. That's what I'm talking about. Back to Scott Cross. I like Scott Cross as a coach. I think he's really, really talented. He's really underrated. He wins. He plays winning basketball. I think he does everything about the right way. I don't know how serious Georgia Tech takes basketball is the only issue, man. Like, in my lifetime, they have not really been relevant. I know they made the national title game in 2024, but I don't really, I was 9. It's kind of tough for me to remember those days. But how much is it Georgia Tech investing in basketball versus football? Now, I know they're in Atlanta, so there is, tons of talent out there. And you should have more money, and it shouldn't be hard to recruit in Atlanta. I don't know the buy-in from Yellow Jacket fans and how much the care is going on with the Georgia Tech alumni and the fans. I don't know that. But all it really does take is one good season. You know, we see with Indiana football. Nobody gives a shit about Indiana football. Kirk Cinetti comes in there, wins a bunch of games. Suddenly everybody's engaged. They're selling up the stadium, even if it's not huge, but still, there's buy-in. There's 100% buy-in. So, like, you win a couple games, things will change real quick. So I'm wishing Scott Cross all the success. I think he'll do a decent job. No matter what the circumstances are, the floor got higher. Georgia Tech will not be the ACC doesn't do that. Only 15 of the 18 schools get into the actual ACC tournament. Now, I think at least you're going to be making the ACC tournament every year. It's definitely an upgrade from Damon Stoudemire, but I still think your ceiling might be capped with Scott Cross or basically any other coach you take. I really thought he could have got a better job. Not going to lie. Casey Alexander to Kansas State. The old Belmont coach. He was at Belmont for a long time in the 90s, early 2000s, and then he got the full-time job in 2019. He's been there 7 seasons. No NCAA tournament appearances. They would have made it in 2020, the COVID season. They won the tournament there. And then they were the regular season champions last year. He got to the tournament with Lipscomb, and he did spend some time at Stetson before he jumped up there. He's essentially kind of just been around that Nashville area his entire career, so now he goes out west a little bit to Kansas and the heartland of America. We'll see how he does recruiting guys there. I know Kansas State's NIL situation is better than most people expect, and it's pretty good in terms of the Big 12 hierarchy, but a lot of that still goes to football. Kansas State basketball fans are there, but football is still first. So, but if Kansas State can be competitive in a couple years, we saw with Jerome Tang, the 1 year there, they were really successful. The fans were buying in, and that place was selling out there. So if he can get a little bit of momentum there, I think he can get some money, and I think he can do some damage there. He's a good coach. He's a very, very good coach. Belmont was always one of the best mid-major programs. Won 20-plus games every single year he was in Nashville and Belmont. So I think Kansas State got a definite upgrade from Jerome Tang, but you still got to be able to get the players there to be successful. But I think Alexander does a pretty good job. All right, let's do it. Brian Hodgson to Providence. Whew. Former Nate Oates guy, obviously just coached at USF, got him to the tournament in 1 year. Was at Arkansas State for a couple years, won, I believe, the regular season championships. At least one of the 2 years in the Sun Belt there. He was in Nate Oates all the way back in Buffalo. He was there at Alabama. He runs that fun running gun offense that you see Alabama running through Hofstra and Texas Tech in the NCAA tournament. It's a super fun offense, and I think he'll get a lot of players to come play for him just because the style of play they do. He seems like a player's coach first. Players seem to all fall in love with him, and I think more than anything, everybody already knows how much I disliked Kim English hire. You're finally getting a proven winner, a tough son of a bitch, where if you're going to coach in the Big East and the Northeast, you better have some guy with some shit to him, and he is an upstate New York guy. I think he will do just fine. He's relatively young still to this day, so I think Providence might have won the coaching hire offseason, in my opinion, just because I think the fans will buy in. He's a tough guy, and those fans are tough. You have to have some shit to him, but like a Patino. English didn't have that, man. English, again, everybody knows he failed his way upwards. He wasn't a good coach at George Mason, found a way to get that Providence job, and now he is just ran that program right into the ground for 3 years. The Big East is getting a shit ton of money from the media rights deal, and most of those schools, including Providence, don't have a football team. So all that money is going to go, and some of them don't even have baseball. So that a lot of that, basically all that money is going to basketball. And the sport of college basketball in a whole is just 10 times better when Providence is relevant, when Providence is good. We want to turn on a Friday night Big East game and see the dunk going freaking ape shit. Not what we had to deal with Kim English for all those years. And I think Brian Hodgson is a guy that'll come in there in year one and have them competing. And potentially, if he can get the good roster in there, and he's going to steal some of those guys from USF, They can get them to the tournament in year one. We'll have to take a look at that roster once the offseason, the portal calms down and see what recruits he gets coming in there. But all I know is that guy's a motherfucker, and he knows how to coach basketball. So I think Providence, to me, won the coaching cycle so far this year. We'll have to see what North Carolina does, and there's still some other jobs that need to be, filled. But I fucking love this one, man. He killed his press conference. He had a couple good one-liners in there that I enjoyed. I'm really excited to see Providence basketball next year because that is it's just one of the teams I root for. I'm not a fan, but I just want them to be good. And there is no game. Of all the arenas, I love Fog Allen. Fog Allen's incredible. Kansas game at home is awesome. A game at Iowa State's incredible. Game at Arizona's incredible. There is nothing like Big East basketball. And there's definitely nothing like watching a game at the Dunk or on TV when a game is at the Dunk. It's the best. To me, it's just the best home court environment. It's just fucking awesome. I love every second of it. Jerry McNamara, back to his alma mater at Syracuse. Everybody remembers him as Carmelo Anthony's running mate in that 2003 national title run. Some of you remember him as the head coach of Siena, who had led Duke by double digits as a 16 seed and was up 6 with 5 minutes left. Unfortunately, they weren't able to come through at the very end. But, man, that was just similar to Providence. Basketball's better when Syracuse is good. And now you're hiring one of your own. But now let's get to the honest truth. I do think it was early. He's only been a head coach for 3 years at Siena. I know we got him to the tournament. I know, for one, if that Duke game didn't exist, if Duke goes in there and beats him by 25, he's not the head coach of Syracuse. There's no way. But I understand you maybe didn't want to miss out on him if somebody else comes and scoops in, but it's like still, I think he'd eventually want to go back home. I just thought it was early. He's very unproven. It's only been 3 seasons. They were some good years. I know he was at Syracuse with Boeheim for a long time. He was there with Autry for a little bit, I believe, too. I want it to be good because it's so cool to see a guy who won a national championship at his alma mater back coaching his alma mater, and especially at Syracuse and like the Carrier Dome. That's cool. I think he's going to be able to get some guys to come over there, but I don't know. I know Doty. I think Doty's an ACC player, but a lot of those guys, they only started and played 5 guys in that game. We'll see how he does on the recruiting trail. He's got to try to retain Carmelo Anthony's son. I want it to work. Don't get me wrong. I want it to work. But I am skeptical still. Because I do know it was very early in his career to be landing a Syracuse-esque job. But we're going to root for him. We're going to root for him for sure. Alan Huss to Creighton. Technically, he was already at Creighton. Greg McDermott stepped down today, finally announced his retirement. Kudos to an amazing career for Coach McDermott. Awesome. I very much enjoyed your Creighton teams. I love the McBuckets team. The Marcus Zagorowski team was super fun. The COVID year team, it was like a top 12 team that never got the chance to win a national title. That one was unfortunate, but then those Kalkbrenner, Shireman, Kaluma, Nemhard teams were fucking awesome. Stephen Ashworth, Ropes as I call him. It was awesome, man. Great career. You robbed of the Final Four in 2022 or 3, whatever it was, when the bullshit foul on the Seattle transfer that was at San Diego State, can't remember his name, that ultimately propelled San Diego State to the Final Four into the national championship game. That should have been Creighton. It should have been an all-Big East national championship with Creighton at UConn, but unfortunately it didn't happen because that bullcrap call. Greg McDermott retires without his Final Four. It's bullshit. Shouldn't have happened. But either way, Alan Huss takes over. He was the High Point coach for one, he did play at Creighton, but 2023 to 2025, he was the High Point head coach. He got them there last year. There's potential that this High Point team last year was actually better than the team this season, but unfortunately they ran into Purdue in the first round and just kind of got walked. They didn't get walked. They were in that game for a long time. Purdue ended up blowing it up pretty late, but they were always down like 5 or 6 points. But he kind of did this before High Point was, spending a shit ton of money. So I do think the guy can coach, and I do think it's going to work in Creighton. I think he'll bring a little bit of a new school attitude and coaching style to Creighton. I'm hoping they'll play a little more defense than they have the last few years because I also like when Creighton's pretty good. I think it's good. I think it's a great hire. He's an alma mater there. He is. I know I just said the same thing about Jerry Mack, and it was too early for him. Huss has been a coach a little bit longer. He's been doing this for a while. He's worked with McDermott for a long time. I think it's going to work out here for the Blue Jays there. And, I mean, we already kind of knew this was coming. It was just a when for Greg McDermott. But now we get to Wes Miller. Wes Miller goes to Charlotte. I love this. I love this. If you're Charlotte, you got to be ecstatic. Look, it didn't work out in Cincinnati for him. This is a guy who played in North Carolina, has Carolina ties, coached at UNC Greensboro. Now he's going back to his state that he knows with all the grassroots that he has in the recruiting trail. He's familiarity with high schools. And he was super fucking successful at Greensboro, man. He made 2 tournaments. He won the regular season 4 times. They were competitive in the last NCAA tournament. They almost pulled the upset. I can't remember. I think it was against, it might have been Illinois, but it might have been Houston. I can't remember which it was. It could have been either one. To be honest with you, I think I might have confused them for Chattanooga. But I know they didn't make it there a couple times. And you know what? Even the couple years in Cincinnati that didn't work out, they had some good teams just kind of riddled by some injuries and, started the seasons off a little bit slow. Yeah, it was time. It just sometimes you can be a good coach and not a fit. And I just don't know if it was for him. And now he's going to go to Charlotte where he gets a fresh chance there. And I think the 49ers got a good one, especially in the American. I think he can get Charlotte to big heights, maybe NCAA tournament appearances in this league. If they can fork over some money, they might be able to compete like day one. So I like Wes Miller, and I know I was super high on the Cincinnati one, and it didn't work. I think the situation with him going back to North Carolina in this spot, just more familiarity with the programs around him, the players around him, the high schools around him, I think that'll work better for Miller. So I think it was a really good hire by Charlotte. Mark Turgeon to UMKC. What the fuck is this? Something we didn't see coming. Obviously, kind of familiar with the roots, too. He's a player at Kansas for a long time. He was an assistant at Kansas for a long time. Most people know him from Wichita State days, maybe A&M days, and then Maryland days, which, hey, man, the guy's won over 400. He's won 476 games. The guy knows how to coach. He's made the tournament a bunch of times. He's won a bunch of games, man. He won the regular season championship. I forgot about that in 2020, the COVID year. So that was another time they would have made the tournament. UMKC is a fucking hard job, dude. I don't know how well this is going to work out just because that job is so fucking difficult. But if you're UMKC, you got to be happy. You got to be ecstatic because that is a really tough job in a Summit League filled with 2 Dakotas. Both Dakotas, North Dakota and South Dakota State, who spent a lot of money, and North Dakota and South Dakota, who have been pretty competitive. And then even throw Will Roberts in there every once in a while, if they can get it right, too, can be sneaky up there. Oh, and then like St. Thomas, with them being eligible now for the NCAA tournament every year, they're starting to spend a little bit of money, too. They just got a brand new arena, brand new facilities. Good luck. But, I mean, immediately, Turgeon had his flaws at the Power 5 level, but he's still a damn good coach. He's going to walk in there right now and be one of the best 2 coaches in that league right away. So if you're a UMKC fan, which I don't know because not a lot, you turn a UMKC game on, there's not a lot of people in the stands, you got to feel ecstatic for that because the motherfucker knows how to coach. Interesting why, though, if you're Turgeon. I'm very curious, but this was just like the one I didn't see coming, I guess. But good for him, man. If this is the situation you want to be in, this is the job you want to take, awesome. I'm going to tune into a lot of UMKC games just for this because I want to see him successful. And I like to see the Roos be good, man. I like that mascot. That kangaroo is a spicy little motherfucker. Justin Joyner to Oregon State. The Michigan assistant. He spent some time with Randy Bennett as well as at St. Mary's. So he's got some Pacific Northwest ties there. And then obviously the times at Michigan with Dusty May. From what I was reading, it sounds like his wife is a coach at Oregon. So maybe that's another reason to pull him back out west. But he's a young guy. He's only 38. He played at Santa Barbara, so he's already familiar with the West Coast, and then obviously that St. Mary's thing, so having some recruiting ties kind of to the Pacific Northwest, even though St. Mary's mostly is just going over to Europe to get the guys. But Dusty May, obviously, it's his guy, so he had a lot of great things to say about him. Now you're joining Oregon State and going back to the Pac-12 where Gonzaga is going to be too, and they're probably going to run the conference still. So get a guy that's coached at St. Mary's, has some ideas to try to be able to fuck with that. He was on he was on the staff that just blew out Gonzaga by 40 this year, so he maybe played a part in that too. I don't know. It's kind of an unknown, so we're gonna wait and see on it. But it seems like a lot of Oregon State fans that I follow on Twitter are pretty ecstatic about him. You hire an assistant from a team that's ranked is a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament in the Sweet 16 and has ties to Randy Bennett and Dusty May. Most fan bases are not going to be upset with that. So Tobin Anderson to Tennessee Tech, another one I did not see coming. Tobin, obviously a famous coach for being the head coach at Fairleigh Dickinson as the 16th seed to beat the 1 seeded Purdue, the Zach Edey Purdue team. And then other than that, he went to Iona after that for 2 years, struggled, was fired. Everybody was kind of think it was a little early, but if you know anything about the NIL situation in the MAAC, Iona's spending double the amount of probably every team in there. If not double, they're definitely spending more than any other school. So we'll see. We'll see. He had the one successful year at Fairleigh Dickinson, but, they didn't even win the conference tournament. They got in because Merrimack was ineligible. I don't know if a lot of people remember that, but they weren't even supposed to be there, and they ended up fucking knocking off Purdue. He seems like he's a good guy, and he's a good coach. He cares. Players seem to really like him, so we'll see. So Tennessee Tech's also joining the SoCon, leaving the OVC, so we'll see, too, with a little bit step up in competition. But you get a guy that's, the dude beat fucking Matt Painter's a 16 seed. The 2-time National Player of the Year, Zach Edey, in a basketball game as a 16th seed, with your tallest guy being 6'6". Guy's got something to him. Now, time will tell because Tennessee Tech's been bad for a minute, so maybe they'll spend a little bit of money. I don't know. Maybe Tobin can get some juices flowing and maybe get some boosters to fork over a little bit more money for him. But I like Tobin. He seems like a really good dude, and like I said, the players seem to like him. He just seems to really care. So those are kind of some guys I just tend to fucking root for. Jared Blount, I don't know how to pronounce it. He's going to San Diego to take over for Steve Lavin, who was fired. He's been an assistant at Iowa State for the last 5 seasons with TJ Ottsberger. Spent some time at Colorado State, too. Relatively young guy. He was I'm interested to see if he's going to run anything like TJ Otts does with the defensive pressure, the chaotic, press you, fuck you up, kind of punch in the mouth defense. I don't know. The thing is, though, the WCC did just get a lot easier just because, you're losing Gonzaga. So if San Diego can get in there and, get some dudes, who wouldn't want to go out and play in San Diego? That's the crazy thing. You'd think you'd be able to get recruits all the time. But obviously San Diego State steals a lot of them, UCLA and USC. But room for the guy. He's an Ottsberger guy, so I figure he's going to end up doing well because most Ottsberger dudes do, and the guys who come from Iowa State in general tend to succeed at the coaching ranks in college basketball. Chris Kapko is going to Ball State. Really not a lot to him before that. He's been basically an Andy Anfield guy. He was with him at USC. He was with him at SMU as the associate head coach. He's kind of a young dude. He's in his 40s. I wasn't really – he played at Florida in South Florida, but I wasn't really – that was early in my lifetime where I don't remember a ton of basketball back then. I'm a nerd now, but back then I could not name you a guy on all 365 like I can now. Those days are over with, or haven't started yet. They're quite here now, and it's a problem, but it's It's fucking awesome, dude. College basketball sweet. Follow all 365. Well, 4 because we're losing St. Francis, but still. Problem is here, I'm not a giant Andy Enfield fan anyway. Seems like he kind of always underachieves outside of the one Florida Gulf Coast run that they had. But also, Ball State's a tough job. That's a tough job in the MAC. The MAC's not got, it's not like a two-bid MAC this year, but not a ton of crazy good jobs here. It's basically just Akron, Toledo, Miami, Ohio's apparently coming good one now. I think Buffalo's a pretty good job. Kent is a really good job, but it's mostly the Ohio schools, and that's about it. And besides Buffalo, the directional Michigan schools don't really give a shit. UMass isn't a bad job, but like Frank Martin's not leaving for a minute, so wish Capco some luck. He seems like a young guy, seems like a smart dude. We'll see what he can do at Ball State, but it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be easy. Well, if you think that job's hard, Joe Crispin is taking over at Air Force. And if I can say this with 100% certainty, and I hope everybody doesn't think I'm joking, but Air Force is the hardest job. Yes, harder than Mississippi Valley State is the hardest job in college basketball. You are a military school who has to play in the fucking Mountain West. Yeah, it is a military school that has to play in the Mountain West. If you put Army or Navy, who in football, they compete just because it's a different kind of game and they run the triple, stuff like that kind of helps, into the conference they play in football, which is the American, I think Army and Navy, the only time they have a chance to win a game is when they play each other. It's hard to recruit players there. They're in the Patriot League, so it makes sense. It doesn't if you're a military school playing in the fucking Mountain West. It is such a freaking hard job. I wish Crispin a lot of luck. He was a Penn State assistant for a long time. Or he's actually only been there for 3 years, sorry. But before that, he coached at is like a Division II school. I believe it was a Division II school for a long time, too. Former player. I know he was a good college player for a while, Penn State, too. So good luck, man. It's my whole lifetime, Air Force has been bad. They were frisky maybe 3 or 4 years ago when A.J. Walker was there, who was kind of like the only player they've had in years. So let's hope it works out for him. It'd be cool to see Air Force be good. Your job will get a little bit easier because a lot of the blue bloods in the Mountain West are leaving, like the Boise, the Utah State, the Colorado States that are joining the Pac-12. So that part will get easier. But it's still Air Force. It's still going to be a tough job. Evan Brad's taking the Belmont job. He was a player there. He went to the NBA route, like right out of college. He's a young dude. He's only 31. He's from Ohio. I didn't know that either. Spent some time last year at Duke with John Shire. I think a lot of some of these mid-major schools are taking a little bit of swings on that after seeing kind of what Jai Lucas did year one in Miami. So there's a lot of unknown with this guy, but from everybody you talk to and you hear, you see, talking about him, they have a lot of good things to say about him. He's young. He's a grad of the school. I think he'll understand how to win at Belmont. So, I think it's a pretty good one. He got a coach that worked with Shire, who I think is a really good coach too. So, I think it's going to work out for him. And like I said, he should know how to win at Belmont. He was a player there. He won a lot of games there. I think he's going to be just fine. So, good for Belmont. Good hire there. Billy Donlin going to EMU, another one I did not see coming. Former Horizon League Coach of the Year when he was at Wright State. He coached UMKC for a little bit, did a decent job there, and now went with Brad Burnell back to Clemson. Now he's taking the EMU job, which another one of these schools in the MAC that is really, really hard to win at. But get a guy that's coached at a decent level and been a part of a lot of really good staffs. I think this one is a good hire now. Just can you get some buy-in? Because everybody kind of regards Eastern Michigan as probably the worst job in the MAC. We'll see how it goes for him because it's not easy to win there. Joey Cantons is the new coach at FIU. This guy was a Daytona State Division II coach for a long time, won a lot of games there. It's a really, really good school in Florida. A lot of unknown with this guy too, coming from D2, but we see it all the time. Like guys like Ben McCollum. Now I don't think he's gonna be Ben fucking McCollum, but winning it, sir, if you win at one level, a lot of the times, the majority of the time, you're just a winner and you know how to win at the next level. So if you can continue any of that success he had at Daytona State, he can come to FIU. And a Conference USA that doesn't have a lot of teams that spend a lot of money outside of Liberty and Western Kentucky. Get some of that Pitbull money. You remember, get Pitbull football stadium and make that Pitbull basketball arena too. Maybe you can spend a little bit of money on him. So I like it. I like taking the D2, the swings on the D2 coaches a lot. If you can coach that level, a lot of it translates to Division I. So just got to be able to recruit and get the players in there. And he's from Florida. He has international ties too, so maybe you can, get to like I guess Dominican Republic. So kind of that Caribbean kind of island kind of thing. Maybe be able to talk some guys in there. And how hard is it to recruit to Miami? You're FIU. You should have no problems there. So I like this one too for FIU. Jordan Fee to Lamar. Talk about something and a guy I don't know a lot about, but I did know he coached at Nova Southeastern, another really good Division II school in Florida. They won a bunch of national championships. He was at Florida Atlantic the last couple seasons with coach escaped my mind, former Baylor guy. But now he's taking over at Lamar. It's a relatively young dude. It's not a bad job either in the Southland. They spend a little bit of money. You're in a big city. I like this for him. I don't really know how successful it's going to be, but we'll keep an eye on it. It's a young dude, but he's been with a lot of really good coaches, so we're going to see if it works out. Travis Ford to Little Rock. I did not see this one coming. Former UMass coach, former Oklahoma State coach, former St. Louis coach, who was a coach who could recruit and get really, really good players, but always underachieved. That was the story of him, at least when I remember him at St. Louis, which I got the St. Louis shirt on here. He could get talent, but couldn't win with talent. So we'll see how that works out. Little Rock, I wouldn't say is an incredibly easy job, but it's not a terrible job in the OVC. He has made a lot of NCAA tournaments. He hasn't won a lot of games in the NCAA tournament, but he has got them there. I think he did a good job when he was at UMass. Oklahoma State didn't work out. It started off pretty well. I think they made the tournament the first 2 or 3 years, but then after that couldn't find anything. And again, at St. Louis, he got guys there, and he just didn't win a lot with them. But you know what? If you can get guys to Little Rock in the OVC, you can win a lot of games. So it's about getting the guys there first and then worrying about getting the wins. Because if he can do one of these, he might be able to do both. So he's also a guy who's just been around the block. And you're going into the OVC. I do like a couple of the guys, especially like Jeremy Schulman at UT Martin. I think is fantastic. But other than that, I think he should be able to recruit basically anybody. Moorhead's the class of the league, but you can compete with those guys. Just when you get the talent, make him play. The thing he would do that. Some things he used to criticize Will Wade on early in his career was like the roll the ball out offense. Like, hey, I got better guys than you. I'm just gonna roll the ball out there and let him beat you. And it doesn't work like that in college basketball. This is a different kind of game. So I don't know. We'll fucking see. But it was definitely just something I didn't expect to see on my timeline was Travis Ford taking the job at Arkansas Little Rock. Bob Kennan staying at North Florida as he was the interim coach. He's been there for the last 13 years, and now he is permanently the head coach. They weren't great, 7-25, but you know what? They were a fun school. They shoot a ton of threes. Not a lot of defense was being played. They had like 2 really big studs who could shoot a bunch of shots from outside. I don't know how well it's going to work out, but it is a fun system. It's a fun team to watch. But they could pick off a bunch of teams, but they also lost to basically everybody. We'll see. I like the interim hire. Players obviously like them. Hopefully he can retain some of those guys, and we'll see. I'd like to see the Osprey back to the tournament at some point. He's been a journeyman assistant for a long time, but now he finally gets his head coaching opportunity. Hope he takes advantage of it. It would be cool to see North Florida be good, especially with that style of basketball they play. It's very unique. Matt Marjarzik? Probably wrong. I'm going to guess that I did this wrong and I pronounced his name wrong. But This is a guy who got Northern Michigan to the tournament a bunch of times, the D2 ranks. Doesn't look like a basketball guy. To me, if I look at that guy right there, he looks like somebody, and I just can't think of the name. But he looks to me more like to me, because I have the letters blocking the logo. It looks like he's North Dakota State's like safeties coach, right? With the yellow and green there. I don't know. That's my opinion on this one because, I mean, he was good Division II coach. That's awesome. It should help Northern Illinois because they just haven't been a good basketball program forever. Life's a little different now. Northern Illinois is joining the Horizon League. It's a little bit of a step down from the MAC to the Horizon, but Northern Illinois does not invest much into their basketball program. It's mostly just football. But we'll see. If you can get a couple good seasons there, maybe you can get some boosters to buy in. I don't know. But, at least you hired a guy who's from the Midwest, and he's won a bunch of games, too, even if it's not at the Division I level. So, wait and see. We'll wait and see there for the Huskies, but not hold my breath. Eric Hout to Tarleton State. Guy who's been with Calhoun the last couple years at Utah State. He was in Northern Kentucky for a long time with coach escaped my name, but they won and made a bunch of tournaments. When he was there, he was at Kent State for a long time. He's the guy who's been around the block for a ton. He's been an assistant coach, he's been an associate coach, about everywhere. He's coming from Calhoun. Calhoun was a Huggins guy, so I'm assuming it's going to be a good hire. So I'm going to wish Hot a lot. It's going to be a big change going from Billy Gillespie over to Hot, just because Gillespie was a fucking hothead, asshole. The players did not really like him. Sorry to call him an asshole, but he was kind of an asshole. He was fired for being an asshole. So I can fucking say it. Interested to know if he was going to be now that Calhoun's gone, if that could have been his job, but I doubt it. That was what a lot of people were wondering, but I just feel like Utah State's track record of hiring really good coaches, they kind of go after, higher tier, up-and-coming, mid-major coaches. I don't know if he would have been the guy yet without being an actual head coach yet. So I think he goes to Tarleton in a dude, what are they fucking doing? I don't even know. They're probably joining the United Conference, or maybe they're joining another one. I don't know. There's still a lot of. I've tried to dive into the, the what do you call that? The realignment of the college basketball conferences. But I'm going to deal with that in the offseason because there's way too much going on still right now, especially with the Sweet 16 starting on Thursday. Jared Haas to UNC Greensboro. Another one similar to the Mark Turgeon and the Travis Ford one. I wasn't expecting to see this one. But, for Greensboro, great fucking hire. I thought he was halfway decent at Stanford. He was a really good coach at UAB, won a lot of games there. And at Stanford, never got him to the dance. That's going to get you fired. But, Stanford's a hard job. Not a lot of guys get to the tournament at Stanford. But you know what? He won 20 games once, got to 19 and 18. Like, I don't think he was terrible by any means. And he now is taking a Greensboro job that's going to spend a ton of money in the SoCon, more than 90% of the schools in that league. It's a good program. It's a program that's, I wouldn't call it you can almost call it a blue blood of the SoCon. I think I would. At least in my lifetime, they're always kind of relevant. They've had a lot of coaches go there and win a lot of games and move on to bigger jobs. So this is his way of getting back to the P4 level. You win a bunch of games here at Greensboro. I think Haas can maybe find himself back into that, level of coaching at the P4 level. But, I mean, if you're Greensboro, I think you got to be pretty excited about it because don't really know why they fired the last coach, but it is what it is because I thought Jones did a really good job there. But still, it's just how sport is, man. It can be that way sometimes. And then lastly, Khalil Fenton comes over from UT Rio Grande Valley to take over at Western Michigan, another school that doesn't spend a lot of money, and it's probably a pretty tough job in the MAC. But I will say, his last 2 years at Grand Valley were really, really good. He had McNeese, right on the edge there to almost beat them to get to the Southland Championship, and that was a certified home game for McNeese. So I think the dude knows how to coach. It's just very interesting with the fit going all the way from Rio Grande Valley up to Western Michigan. So we'll see how that one works out. So there's going to be a shit ton of more coaching changes. I know there is, and especially this North Carolina one could bring a ripple effect depending on who goes where. So I'm going to call this one part 1 of the coaching carousel, and I will do another video here in a few weeks when the rest of it clears up, and more throughout the summer. I'm going to do basketball all year long now. There's a couple videos a week. Yeah, I got to do both because I can't get away from it. I might put them on here. I'm starting another. I'm probably going to be doing another podcast called College Basketball Unfiltered. Just kind of getting away from the gambling aspect of college basketball and just talking to it at its core. Probably still do picks and stuff like that just because it's fun. But I like to do the betting stuff too, and the bet the juice. It's fun. But I also might do a little bit of that too on the college basketball, just to have like dialogue conversations. Because like shows like this, where I just talk coaching carousel, had nothing to do with betting or anything. It was fun as hell. It's just I love the sport altogether, so I might have to just do that as well. All right, I'll be back on here tomorrow with the picks and preview for Thursday and Friday Sweet 16 games. But you know what? It's so bittersweet because I'm so excited for this Sweet 16 games. Like, because the matchups are incredible, but it's so sad at the same time because I just know college basketball's coming to an end. But that's why I'm going to try to do this stuff year round, just because I can keep the spirit of the sport going all year long and not get as much of a late start that I've had the last few years just because football's going on. We're doing that on the betting show. Still want to cover basketball because it is the best sport in the world and it's better than football, and I enjoy it way more. So we're going to do that too. All right, like I said, we'll be back tomorrow with picks and preview for the Sweet 16 games. Until then, I will see you guys. I am out here.